We are recording, so I should be letting everyone in. Yes, everyone is slowly trickling in, which is exciting. I'm so happy that everyone is here. We're going to be talking with Patricia Marshall from Luminare Press. And yeah, all the fun stuff around self-publishing, right?
That's right. We'll get on this.
Yes,
I'm looking
yes.
for a link. I had a link that I was going to put in the chat, but I can't find it at this moment. So maybe we can send that out with the replay if that
Sure,
if that
yeah,
works.
email
Okay,
us. And then,
great.
yeah, I'll make sure it goes
Great. I
out.
will do that. Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Fantastic. All right. Yep. Just watching everybody come in. I want to just wait a couple more minutes and then I'll introduce you. But yeah, we were just talking about what an exciting topic self-publishing is. And I'm an indie author, so I appreciate self-publishing for
Good.
sure
You could probably
as an option.
co-present with me then because
I'll probably learn more from you than I even know. But
yeah,
so I'm very much
it's
self-taught.
it really is a fun topic because there's so many ways to do it, which is one of the things I'm going to talk about. um
Yeah.
there's not one size fits all, so it's a very uh exciting way to figure out what works and how you can go about it. And I will tell you, I
Yeah.
have seen a lot of different ways to
Agreed.
do it in my time, both in business and not. So yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I feel like the way that I do it is the way that makes sense for my brain. So I would love to have it explained in various ways.
That's a
Mm.
good way to do it if you do it in the way that makes sense for you, which is again
Yeah.
one of the topics we're going to talk about.
All right. Well, fantastic. I don't want to delay any longer. Great. Yeah. Thank you, Sandy. Welcome. Everyone can say where they're from, who they are in the chat. I do want to introduce Patricia really quickly here. So we're talking to Patricia Marshall from Luminare Press. She's the founder and owner of Luminare and the newly formed Lucent Book Group. She has worked in publishing for more than 2 decades and has helped thousands of authors self-publish high-quality professional books, which is important for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so without further ado, I will pass things on to you.
Okay, thank you very much. And I really want to thank Alexa and the entire women in publishing community. It's been uplifting to be with so many people who have come together with the goal of learning and growing around the publishing business. And we at Luminary Press, we're really glad to be a part of it. So, and thank you, Amy, for the introduction. As she said, I'm Patricia Marshall. I'm the founder and owner of Luminary Press and the newly formed Lucent Book Group. Luminary Press is a self-publishing assist company that offers full publishing solutions, starting with manuscript development and editing, moving on to book production, publication, ebooks, audiobooks, and distribution, worldwide distribution for all versions of the book. Um, we have a great suite of marketing services. Our authors keep 100% of their royalties. And although we offer publishing packages, we are able to easily customize things because we're not a huge company. We're about 10 people working here in beautiful Eugene, Oregon. At the end of this year, we're rolling out a new imprint that I call Lucent Book Group, or that we call Lucent Book Group, which is a true hybrid company. And I'll talk a little bit more about that and the differences between those two companies at the end. So today I want to give you a little overview of what we're going to be talking about. And I think I'm going to stop here for a minute and share my screen. And we'll get started with that. Let's see if this works. Yes, it does. Okay. So today we're going to talk about the wonderful world of independent publishing. Now, as Amy mentioned, I've been helping authors publish for more than 15 years now. I've been in publishing for longer than that. And one of the things I know for sure is that there is no one size fits all solution for publishing. Now, this is both a great thing, but can also be incredibly confusing for authors. So today I want to explain some of the models for self-publishing and offer you some reasons that you might pick one over another. Let's talk for a minute about the publishing landscape. So, I don't know if how many of you know this, but more than 2.5 million books are independently published every year. That does not include books that are traditionally published. I've been doing some reading about the history of books. This is a phenomenal number at this time and place in history of books that are being put out there. Because there are so many books being independently published, there are hundreds of companies offering publishing services. So these are companies like mine, but they're also true hybrid companies. They're providers doing editing, book design, and all sorts of things. But I want you to be aware that there are also a lot of scams out there. I could do an entire day on talking about scams, but we're not going to do that right now. There's a lot of information on my website. If you work with somebody, be sure that you vet them and look these things up. As I said, there is not one perfect way to publish your book. So that's one of the things I want to talk about today. But the bottom line for this is that you need to pick a path that is best for you and for your book. You need to consider your budget. You need to consider why you are publishing. You need to consider what outcome you're looking for from publishing a book. So, some outcomes and some things that authors are looking for, why do they self publish? The first and obvious one that you'll hear a lot about is that they're unwilling or unable to find an agent. Most books that are traditionally published have to come through an agent, and that can be an arduous process to find one. Most agents will not take a chance on a first time author with no platform. And they're looking for people with big platforms who, have a built-in audience. And, to my way of thinking, if you have that already, why not just self-publish and keep a bigger share of the royalties? Um, some people don't want to take the time that traditional publishing takes. It can take a year or two to find an agent. It can take, a couple years for them to sell it, a couple years for book production. You could be looking at 4 to 5 years before you got your book out there. Some authors self-publish because they're writing a book that they don't want to market. They don't mind having it available for sale on Amazon, but they're not interested in putting a lot of effort into selling their book. Those are things like family stories, memoirs, some children's books people are just writing for their sort of regional or established audience. But on the other side, some people are publishing business or how to books that they are using for professional recognition. They're trying to increase their income either through speaking gigs or increased client base or just generally recognition for their expertise in their craft. So that's a very different type of book. But there are also fiction and series authors who are building brand and name recognition. This is like one of my favorite categories, and we'll talk about it a little bit more. But people who are, writing more than one book, again, might really consider the effort they put into producing and marketing the book as being beneficial for the second and subsequent books. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this, it is that self-publishing doesn't mean you have to do everything yourself. You do not have to become a book designer, a layout expert, a publishing expert, record your own ebook or audiobook, I'm sorry. You don't have to do everything yourself. But what it does mean is that when you self-publish, you are the person who's going to be responsible for your book and for the outcome of that publishing experience. So that's why I really do encourage authors to think beyond just publishing the book and think about actually what their goals are and how that fits in the big ecosystem of publishing. So with that, today I'm going to talk about 3 basic models that you can use to self-publish. The first one is a true do-it-yourself model. And again, this doesn't mean you're doing everything yourself. It means you are acting as the person who's essentially a contractor. You're going to find and hire the help you need. So you're going to be looking for a cover designer, a person to help you with layout, a person to help with editing. There are all sorts of tasks that you will be doing, and you will be coordinating the timeline and the publication of the book. The second model is self-publishing assist, which is what we do at Luminare Press. You can hire one company to help you with the tasks that you aren't able to do. So you're hiring somebody to sort of oversee the process for you. You're working with somebody under one roof, and most self-publishing assist companies will help with any type of manuscript. So that's something that's important to remember, that you don't have to have your manuscript vetted by them necessarily. For instance, at Luminary Press, we will vet manuscripts for editing needs. And we want to publish things that are well copy edited at least, but we're not necessarily judging the content for marketability or sales. A hybrid company, which is not a hybrid of the two things above, it's kind of a cross between a traditional publishing and a self-publishing model, is a model in which you work with a publisher who vets your manuscript and helps with every aspect of getting your book published and getting it sold. So these are three very different models with different price points. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go through sort of the pros and cons of each of them. And then at the end, I'm going to talk about why you might pick one over the other. I mean, a lot of it depends on your goals and what type of book you're publishing. And with that, let's move into the do-it-yourself model. So the pros and the cons. The pros are it's not free, but it's probably going to be your least expensive option. This is not necessarily true because you can make mistakes, but in general, it's not going to be as expensive as the other models. The DIY model, if you are publishing more than one book, if you really want to learn the art of publishing, it offers a great learning opportunity. There's lots of information out there about how to go about publishing a book on your own. Both KDP and Ingram Spark, which are the two main print-on-demand publishers, have great learning centers. There's just a lot of advice and information that is solid about how to go about this. So if there's something you're longing to learn about this might be a great opportunity to do it. When you do it yourself, when you publish on your own, you will absolutely keep 100% of the royalties. So this is a big advantage if you don't want to do a royalty split, but you're putting the efforts in and you are reaping the rewards. Some of the cons: you are the contractor. You have to find everyone and you have to keep all the parts moving. This is no small thing. Publishing is a complex task, and you really have to be on top of it, and understand everything that goes into it and understand everything you're going to have to be paying attention to. The timing and costs, you might not know them at the outset. So because there are costs involved, you can get cover designs from $100 to more than $1,000. Same with interior design. You have to sometimes pay for online programs, like expenses you may not have considered. And the timing is another issue. When you're lining up contractors, you can't always guarantee that the editor you want is available right away, or the cover designer can work on your project at the time you need them. You will also still pay for services, and you will have to vet the quality of your providers. So you'll have to check each person, make sure that they are the person you want working on your book. So these are all things to think about when you are DIY. I don't think there's another point there. There is. So in this complex world of publishing, it is easy to make costly mistakes. So it's almost as if you don't want to learn as you're going. You want to sort of get an overview of the process and then move into it, because you don't want to enter data wrong, have your title not match in certain places and do things that might affect, frankly, the discoverability and the sale of your book. So those are the things you need to think about with pros and cons. I want to give you a brief overview of how those break down. So the first part of what you're thinking about is the book production. That's editing. You need to think about what type you need. You need to talk about the review process. You need to find the provider at the price you can afford. The cover is the front, back, and spine. You need to have a solid back cover text. You need to have somebody to do all those things for you, and you need to vet that they can do it well. The interior is the text layout, the front and back matter, any images. Having an interior that's readable is very, very important. I see a lot of books out there that have not been well laid out. And it's a very subtle thing, but it's very hard to read if your book is poorly laid out. And if you're doing it yourself, you need to think about the ebook and audiobook conversions. Now, of course, you don't have to have an ebook and an audiobook version, but if you're selling the book, those are really going to help you with sales. The second sort of big bucket is the publishing part. You're going to have to think about purchasing an ISBN, registering your title and your metadata, how all that works. And again, your ISBN might be one of those costs that you had not considered. I think it's $300 to buy 10 ISBNs from Bowker, but it will be a cost in there. Library of Congress and copyright registration. There's no cost to register for Library of Congress, but there is for copyright. And again, you have to do you have to have the order of operations down so that they're done correctly. And you have to set up your accounts and upload your files. The accounts I'm talking about are the accounts where you're going to print and sell your book. They are mostly KDP and Ingram Spark for print on demand. The last thing you need to consider if you want to sell your book is who's going to do the marketing, who's going to arrange for a book launch, publicity, who's going to build an author website. If you're not selling your book, you really don't need to worry about these things. But if you are doing it yourself and you're trying to build an audience, marketing is something you're going to have to consider too. So with that, let's move on to the self-publishing assist model. So some of the pros for self-publishing assist. All the tasks are under one umbrella. So you have one company that's paying attention to the flow of the tasks, to getting the tasks done. You vet that company and you make sure that they are doing, what you need them to do. And after that, you can pretty much be assured that the providers they have will be good. A lot of companies, can customize their services too. So it's really worth looking for somebody who can get you the services you need. And as I said, you only have to vet that company. And if they are a good company and they have good reviews, they probably have great service providers. So they're going to find you good editors, designers, and things like that. When you work with a self-publishing assist company and you're getting editing, you have some assurance that your book will be professionally edited and designed and set up correctly for printing and distribution. So these aren't things you're going to have to learn because you're going to be working with somebody who already knows how to do that. And self-publishing assist, I think, offers a solid foundation for your marketing efforts. So if you are going to go out and market your book, you want to make sure that the first step to marketing is that you've produced a solid book that is able to be sold. If you have a book that's riddled with grammar errors or has an AI cover that just doesn't fit with its genre, you're going to have an uphill battle marketing it. So whether you're DIY or self-publishing assist, you want to make sure that the book you are creating is marketable. And lastly, most self-publishing assist companies will use print on demand. This is both a pro and a con. Some self-publishing assist companies might offer printing and distribution options, but print on demand is generally the default for self-publishing assist and for self-publishing in general. Self-publishing assist is often a shortened timeline. I would guess it would be shorter than starting from scratch and learning everything on your own. It's still going to take some time. You can print things overnight, but it's not going to be a high quality product. So, 6 months to a year as opposed to several years for traditional, and probably, a little shorter than self-publishing assist. The Oh, and self-publishing assist often offers 100% royalties. Not always, but that's a great thing to look for when you're looking for a self-publishing assist company. The cons for self-publishing assist: there is little or no manuscript vetting. The company really doesn't have a financial investment in the outcome. So if you are keeping 100% royalties, you're going to be responsible for making sure your book gets sold. It can be more expensive than DIY. It likely is going to be more expensive than DIY, so something to be aware of. They may not offer, a self-publishing assist company may not offer 100% royalties. I don't know what traditional splits are, but it's something to be aware of. Um, they may or may not include marketing, such as book launch, help with author websites, things that you want to do to get your book there available for sale. A self-publishing assist company may or may not include ongoing support. And again, this is both a pro and a con, but most will not offer distribution options. So it's going to be difficult to get your book into bookstores on a broad level. You can probably get it into your local stores. It won't be in airport stores and things like that. Most will use print on demand, which is a great way to go for authors, but it does have some limitations. So those are things to think about when you are thinking about self-publishing assist. Hybrid, as I mentioned, is a little different. It's a cross between more traditional publishing and self-publishing. I think of hybrid this way. It's like you're going to pay for all the services a publisher would do for you. And it you are working with a company that is very much invested in your success. So it's not to say that self-publishing assist companies aren't interested in your success, but you're working with a company that has a financial investment in your success. You have a solid team behind you to produce and market your book. So you have a whole team that's looking at your book, that's trying to figure out the best ways to produce it so that it is highly marketable when they are done. You have an option for bulk and specialty printing. Most hybrid companies are not limited to print on demand options. So you can do offset print runs, which opens the door to wider distribution. And that can be very valuable if you have the type of book that's going to do well with broader distribution. They do offer, as I said, traditional distribution. Most hybrid companies have a sales force behind their books. They'll have a catalog. They release sort of on a timeline, maybe a spring fall timeline. But that is something that, again, if you have the type of book where that's going to be important, it's really something to think about when it comes to a hybrid. The cons for hybrids: they are a significantly higher investment on your part. And I don't want to say that that's necessarily a bad thing, but it is really something to be aware of if you're thinking about going hybrid. Uh, Hybrid companies, one complaint that I hear about them consistently is that they have hidden or add-on fees. So they're not always transparent about what the costs are actually going to be. They're going to have warehousing fees, marketing fees, distribution fees. Those are all things, if you're going with a hybrid company, that you really want to ask about in advance. Because again, it is something I hear consistently about hybrids. You will not keep 100% of your royalties, because remember, this company is really invested in your success. The split varies. Your portion of the royalties will be significantly higher than if you were going with traditional publishing. So for instance, an author's split of 70 to 80% of royalties is not uncommon in a hybrid, whereas in a traditional, it might be more like 10% or 15%. Um, the timing is often going to be longer with a hybrid company because they are doing editing, they're preparing a book launch, they're laying the marketing groundwork. All these things add to an increased timeline. And I can't say how long, but again, I would figure maybe a year or two. So, that said, how do you decide what is going to be best for your book? One question I would ask myself is, how do I balance my time and money? If you have, you know, all the time in the world and you want to learn publishing, as I mentioned earlier, you have more time than money, DIY might be a great option for you. But your question for yourself is, how do I want to balance that? Uh, are you technically proficient? You need to really ask yourself that hard question because you will need to be technically proficient to do DIY publishing. You need to be sort of technically proficient to do any of it. But if you're doing it on your own, all of that technical stuff is going to fall on you. Uploading your files, understanding file formats, uh, all those things will be on your shoulders. Another thing I would ask myself is if I wanted a return on my investment with book sales. Conversely, I think sometimes if you really are determined to get an ROI, um, spending more money might be a better thing. A lot of authors I talk to tell me, well, I just want to make my money back on publishing. And I will tell them, unless you invest in marketing and really have a plan to sell your book, that's not likely to happen. So you really need to think about, if that's an outcome you desire, how that affects what path you choose. Uh, do you have a plan to promote your book if you want to sell it? If you are a marketing whiz, I would pick things a little differently. I talk to authors who are, and I think that that's a really good reason to spend less on publishing and invest time in marketing. Uh, you have to have some knowledge of design, editing, and marketing if you're going into this. Again, I always come back to covers because I see so many bad covers, including the first book I was involved with in self-publishing. It wasn't my book and I didn't do the cover design, but you could tell from looking at it that it was a self-published book. And though that book had some great writing in it, it was not going to gain a lot of traction because of sort of the design issues that were involved in it. So when I think about this, I think about these factors: budget, what your desired outcome and goals are, what your competencies are, how much time you have, and what type of book you're publishing. So the type of book, if you're just going to publish one book and you're not going to do anything to market it, that leads you down one path. If you're starting your writing career and writing a series, that leads you down another path. And those are the things that you really need to think about as you're thinking about what's best for you and your book. So I did a little outline of how you decide, and I hope that we have time to talk about this in the Q&A. So please put your questions in the Q&A box because we will have time to address them. But here's what I would say. If you have more time than money, if you're tech savvy, if you're working on a book series, or if you're just doing a hobby project, you just have a book that you want to get out, go DIY. There's a perfectly good reason to do that. Find your cover designers, find your editors, learn how to upload your files to KDP and Ingram, and you will probably be very happy with the outcome. And even if you're not tech savvy, maybe you have a person in your life who can help with those things. Book series, I think, well, I want to move on to the next one, which is self-publishing assist. So a lot of times I tell my authors who come to me for self-publishing assist, if you are counting on these funds for retirements, don't do this. Don't do so, you either have to spend a lot of money or spend a very little amount of money, but you're not going to make money off your book sales, most likely. There are always outliers, but don't invest your retirement account in book publishing in hopes of making a lot of money. If you want to make some money and you have a marketing aptitude or a plan or a platform already, self-publishing assist, I think, might be a really good way to go. I want to talk about series again for a minute. I have a lot of authors, Luminare Press authors, who write series. I often advise them, do your first book with the full-on self-publishing assist. Do your second ones, um, you know, by publishing them sort of on your own. Like, you can come back to us and we can give you the cover and the interior and the editing, but you can upload the files on your own. Our Luminary Press authors already keep 100% of their royalties, but you can save some money on that second and subsequent books, but also sort of have a blueprint for learning because someone's gone into your account and done it the first time. So series could go either way, either learn it on your own or start with self-publishing assist and then pick it up on your own if you're doing that. If you are looking for a solid return on your investment through royalties, speaking engagements, or new clients, or you have books that you are ready to promote, hybrid, even though it's the most expensive, might be the best avenue for you. Because of that traditional distribution, you'll definitely have a wider reach with your book. I don't generally recommend hybrid for fiction. I think it's possible to do very well with fiction and hybrid, but I think you're probably better off with fiction with self-publishing assist or DIY. But you have a platform, you have a nonfiction book that you think is going to have a big reach. Investing in a hybrid solution, might really get you closer to your goals than either of the others. Because, if you're an author and you want to sell 10,000 copies of your book, spending a few $1,000s is probably not going to get you there. Spending more will probably get you there and get you the returns you want. So, with all of this, I really hope I haven't dreadfully confused any of you. It's a big landscape out there. And just remember, think about your budget, your outcome, your type of book, and what you want as an outcome. All of these factors have a role to play. There isn't a perfect answer, there's just the perfect answer for you and your book. Now, I'm going to talk just a minute about my company, Luminare Press and Lucent Book Group. Luminare Press is the company I started 15 years ago. We offer self-publishing assist. Our publishing packages range from $3,000 to $10,000. The $10,000 one has more editing and marketing in it. We do offer additional editing and marketing services. We have some a la carte services that we add as add-on to packages or to anything authors need. We offer 100% royalties to our authors, and we use print-on-demand printing and distribution. I'll talk about print on demand here quickly. It's a great system for authors who are self-publishing because you do not have to invest money in a print run. You are, getting books as you need them. Your books are widely distributed through online outlets. And if you need to order 10 books today and 100 books tomorrow, the price per book will be the same. So the on-demand part of print on demand is really great for a new or a starting out author. This year, we're launching a true hybrid brand called Lucent Book Group. So it is hybrid publishing. The packages are going to be considerably more expensive. They're going to start around $20,000. We're going to offer full editing, including developmental content editing, manuscript assessment, a lot more, because we're vetting the manuscripts and making sure that we think they are going to be available or that they're going to do well in the market. We offer 75% royalty to the author. We offer traditional distribution, and we offer a great deal of marketing and sales help. Now, with either one of these groups, we have a special for women in publishing attendees. We have, if you signed up for one of our accounts, we have a free Kindle Goodreads giveaway with any publishing package, and that is good through the end of the year. And for anybody, whether you're publishing with us or not, we have free access to a self-publishing class. So the self-publishing class is going to take you through a lot of those tasks that I was talking about earlier. It's going to talk to you about how you set up your accounts on KDP and Ingram Spark, how you register with Library of Congress, with Bowker, and all those things. So it's long, it's detailed. I tried to break it up into little segments so you could digest it, but it is a very helpful thing. And you can go to our website and download that right now. So I don't have the link to put in the chat. I'm not sure I can copy this and put it in there, but we will send that out with the replay so you'll have that link. I also want to say, if you want to talk through your options, you can set up a time to talk to either me or Christine. We have slots available every day. They're about 15 minutes, but I could talk about this for hours, but we try and keep it concise. But if you have questions, please schedule an appointment with us and we will try and walk you through some of your options. You can find us at www.luminarepress.com. And as I said, you'll schedule with either me or Christine. So with that, I want to, there you go, schedule a consultation visit at luminarepress.com. I want to thank you all for joining me today. This is tremendously fun for me to talk about. And as I said, I could talk about this all day, but let me get out of there. I would like to take time now to answer some questions. So I'm going to stop the share and hopefully Amy will know if we have any questions there.
Hi. I
Okay.
did put
Hi.
luminarypress.com in the chat, and I know that we have a link that goes up on our sponsor page that will take you to what you sent us for your offer during the conference, so we can set that
Okay.
up too. I
Thank
just have to
you.
grab it real quick. Sure. We
Okay.
do have a question that came in, and just to let everybody know that the last 15 minutes or so, we're going to be answering questions. So please put any questions you have for Patricia in the Q&A box so that we can answer them. And we'll get started now. Camille is
Okay.
asking, is there a difference between hybrid and traditional that you don't need an agent? So I think you went into that a little bit, but if you wanted to
Yes.
specify specifically why you would need an
Yeah,
agent and
thanks.
all that.
Thanks, Camille. That's a really good question. Most hybrid companies you do not need an agent for. So an agent would be looking to land you a traditional book deal. So your agent is going to go out to the publishers with your manuscript and try and sell it to them. With hybrid, there's generally a manuscript submission process. So hybrids want, at least in my case, we want to look at your manuscript, as we continue the conversation, but it does not have to come through an agent. I will say this too. There are a lot of people out there who are publishing consultants. I am not one of them, although I am always happy to offer my opinion about things. But you can talk to people who are publishing consultants who can sort of help steer you towards agent, traditional, hybrid, DIY, whatever you're looking at. Rose Conway is one person who comes to mind. She's on LinkedIn, and I have other people I know who can do things like that for you. Okay.
Great. Donna is asking, have you done photo books? Do you publish photo books through your company?
Yes. Yes, we have done photo books. Print on demand will do a decent job with photo books. They won't do a high gloss, but we've published some pretty significant books. We did an atlas for a city, the Atlas of Springfield, which was really great, and some things like that. Also, children's picture books.
Okay. For self-publishing, if this is Kathy, she's asking for self-publishing assist from Luminary. Can you tell us what services are included on the two ends of the pricing range from the 3K to the 10K?
Yeah, it's probably, I can give you a quick overview, but I really tried to detail it on the website. So please visit the website and see this. But the 10K model includes more robust editing. It includes copy edit and proofread. It includes a suite of marketing services that are going to help get the book launched out into the world. It includes a lot more to be frank, hand-holding. We do a lot of that anyhow, for any of our clients. And we are a company that continues to offer support, after the publishing process is finished. We have, sort of monthly get-togethers with our authors to talk to them about their issues. But the best delineation of all of that is on the website. So there is a difference, but it has to do mostly with marketing and editing. Great question.
Great answer. We have some coming in the chat. I'm going to stick to the Q&A box right now, but I'll move over to the chat in just a second.
Okay.
Are illustration services offered for children's books?
We do not do illustrations in-house. My designers would love to, but they don't have time. So we offer referrals for illustrations. We have people we work with outside of our company for that.
Oh, wow, that's great. That's really useful, I know, for a lot
Yeah.
of children's book authors. Patricia's asked, I have a completed 300-page fiction novel in the top 10% of Coverfly, and it has done well in 2 novel writing competitions. Not sure what to do next.
Yeah, that's the that's the marketing stuff I was talking about. So, if you don't have an author website, build one. Use your name, build that author website. Use Wix, use what are some other Squarespace. You can do that. Build a professional author website. Start studying up and learning about marketing. You have a great base. You've done well in a few competitions, but your goal now is going to be to learn how to market your book. There are people out there who can help you. You can pay for marketing services. We don't offer services to non-Luminare Press authors, so I'm not, talking about us right now. But, make sure that what they're doing is what you need and that will help move the needle on your book. I would say, Goodreads, it's important to be there. It's important to consider a Goodreads Kindle giveaway. Sometimes those things do very well, and really help boost your visibility, because that's what you need to do. You need to boost the visibility of your book in order to find more readers. Remember that 2.5 million books published every year. Find your people. Find your people who are looking for the type of book you've written and start building your audience and your visibility.
That's great advice. Really good advice. Okay, Jackie is asking, I used Hybrid Publishing 2 years ago, and I was very pleased with the process. However, the company has offered me all the files so that I can now do whatever I want with it. I'm thinking about taking those files and uploading them to KDP. I won't need to make many changes, but might be open to some. Can your company help with that?
Generally, I'm going to say probably not. You probably do need to make some changes. Take advantage of our free class and look at the KDP and Ingram parts. KDP and Ingram change a lot, but I think mostly everything in there is pretty up to date. But you may have to make some file adjustments because like the spine width is different with different printers and things like that. But I think in general, it's not a bad way to go to take the files and upload them to KDP and Ingram Spark. I always recommend using both of those companies, KDP to distribute through Amazon, Ingram Spark to distribute through everyone else. So I think it's a great idea. Download the class. I think that would give you some great help. And honestly, if you get stuck, schedule an appointment and Christine or I will try and give you some advice. Okay? Thank you. Thanks for the question.
Awesome. Jarvis is asking, what kind of assistance is provided for book launches? Great question.
Yeah, there's a lot, and I don't know all of this off the top of my head. But generally, you want to coordinate things like your Kindle Goodreads giveaway with your publication date. You want to have electronic flyers that you can send or that we can send out to people who are interested. You want your social media presence to be tight and, again, coordinated with your book launch. I know there's more, but I can't think of all of that off the top of my head. But it is something you want to, you can do pre-sales in advance. It's a little harder to set up with print on demand, but it certainly can be done. So sort of the timing in the book launch and the idea of it is to make a big splash as soon as your book comes out and get as many eyeballs on it as you can. Most self-published books without a book launch will do the opposite. They'll start out small and grow over time. So sales are better 6 months from now than they were at launch. If you do a book launch, you're aiming for those sales right at the beginning. And you have to do the work to build your audience and make people aware of your book. You can do things like podcast tours and yeah, there are just all sorts of ways you do it. And I'm sorry to say, I don't remember exactly what's in our book launch package. It's on the website though.
Yeah, definitely go to that website because obviously there's a lot of information there. And yeah, book launches definitely, there are a lot of things you can do and find. But it always helps to have somebody kind of mentoring you through the process. You don't miss anything.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. Keep sending your questions in. I'm actually going to grab the link from our website, from our sponsor website page, to make sure that we have people going to your offer that we had set up. But if anyone has any more questions for Patricia, please send them along because we want to give you as much information as possible. And if Patricia, if you wanted to just keep sharing any information that you had about the companies that you're sharing today, feel free to just tell us
Um,
anything you want to say.
yeah, I will say again, I think that there's no wrong way to do it. I get very frustrated when people kind of come at me and say, you're supposed to be able to self-publish for free, because I think it's a fundamental misunderstanding of the process. Writers write, publishers publish. So if you are a writer who's going to publish, you either have to take on the role of a publisher or you have to work with a publisher who's going to help you, someone who can help you. And it's not free. If you sold your book to a traditional publisher, they would be paying somebody to do the editing, to be doing the design, the book design, to be marketing the book, to be warehousing the book, to be selling the book. Uh, you can write a document and upload it as an ebook and try and sell it, you're probably not going to get a lot of traction with that. So that might be the thing you want to do though. So if that's what you want to do and you want to do it for free, you can do it. But the idea that we're supposed to be providing these services and that there should be no cost to the author um, is one we really need to put to bed, along with the idea of vanity publishing. Vanity publishing was a term that I heard a lot as I was coming up as a young writer, long before I was an editor. And it was something we really looked down on. That is not what we're talking about here. We're not talking about somebody who gets 5,000 copies of a leather-bound book, the story of their life. Um, we're talking about authors who are want to publish for various reasons, but if they're publishing to gain some traction in the marketplace, this is a really great opportunity. It's a really great time to be an author because you can get those things out there. I was reading a book I think it's called The Untold Story of Books by Mark Castleman, and it was fascinating. Traditional publishing has only existed in the form that we know it for about 80 years, since the beginning of World War I, World War II, till the 20s or the 2000s when self-publishing started to gain traction. In the early days of book printing, authors paid to get their books printed. They warehoused them, whatever, in their cabin or whatever. I'm talking about the very early days. They sent itinerant peddlers. Webster sent his dictionary out by mules in the West to sell copies of his dictionary that he had paid to get printed. So this is sort of nothing new, but it's also really exciting because we have the tools and the ability to make great books. So that wasn't anything about my company, but I've got to tell you guys, this is a fascinating industry to be in. It is so much fun. It's so much fun to see the books and the authors. And yeah, hit me up if you have any questions or anything I can help you with. We
I'm going
feel
to
like
get
we're
to
the
the I'm
okay.
sorry.
Sorry, go
I
ahead.
wanted to say I wanted to get to the next question, but I wanted to ask you again the name of that book you mentioned because I feel like it's something I want to
It's
read.
it's great. It is fascinating. It's called The Untold Story of Books by Mark Castleman. And
Okay.
I don't even remember where I stumbled across it, but it is just great because he's looking at everything from Gutenberg on. So, Gutenberg invented the movable press in 1455, something like that, which changed the way books were produced. And now, we can upload our files and they can print a book in 10 minutes. So
Yeah.
it's great to have that overview. So I'm sorry, you had another
I love
question?
that. No, that's okay. I'm fascinated by the history of publishing, so I got caught up
Yeah.
in that.
Hit
The
hit
next
hit me up on LinkedIn.
oh,
Let's connect on
for
LinkedIn
sure
because
then,
I'm
yeah.
actually going to be posting about that book. I have kind of a series of posts I wrote about it. So,
Oh, awesome, awesome. Can't wait to read them. Okay, so Fruzy, I hope I'm saying that right. Have you ever published a book from a foreign author? And if so, are there any differences during the process for them at your company, not in general, specifically?
yes, we have published books worldwide. We've worked with authors worldwide. We're working with a cookbook author in Dubai right now. So we have done that. There are companies that print on demand cannot distribute, countries that print on demand cannot distribute to. So those are some concerns. But we work with authors in New Zealand, certainly in Europe, the Middle East. I've had an author in, well, certainly Canada, and I think South America. So we will, when we talk to authors from other countries, we are sort of checking out, making sure that everything can be done before we engage in any work. Now, the other part of that question might be, do you do translations? Yes, we do. So generally, I have an author right now who writes books in English. They're murder mysteries, quite charming. She does Italian translations because she lives in Italy part time and wants the book available for her Italian friends. The Italian translation, she gets the translation work done, and we publish the book. It generally runs about half of what the original publishing package was because we're not redesigning the cover. We're just dropping the Italian text in. And we don't obviously edit those books because there's only one person here who speaks fluent Italian, and uh, he's not an editor. So, so we don't edit foreign language books, but we do publish them.
That's fascinating and no, it's very needed because I know it's necessary internationally. A lot of authors are
Yes.
trying to publish. So, someone's asking about the specific spelling of Mark Castleman's name. Is that correct?
I just saw it
Casselman.
here. I think it's Lecastle. I think it's Castleman.
Oh, like castle.
Yeah, like Castleman. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it is really a
All right, we'll
fascinating
look that
book.
up.
If you guys can get it and read it because it will if you love books, it's just great. So, and I assume most
Fantastic.
of you do.
We did have another question. Melissa's asking, does your company distribute to other countries, work with other publishers to translate, distribute to other countries, so forth?
Yes. So right now we're using print on demand, and we're distributing where print on demand can distribute. With the hybrid, we actually have a distribution person in Spain who's working on European and other countries' distribution. So we will be able to distribute worldwide. Um, I think there's a pretty untapped market for the hybrid model in Europe. So we're really kind of pushing for that a little bit. But again, we do not do translations. So generally, we can provide you with the final file that you used for your book, the final, we can export it into a Word document or a PDF, and you would go to a translator and have them do the translations and come back to us with a Word document that we would place in the book file. But yeah, distribution worldwide, gosh, the Nordic countries, all those places are places that we're tapping. And anywhere that POD reaches, is great. But the larger distribution to bookstores and things like that is what we'll be doing with our hybrid model.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I think I found Mark's book on, on NetGalley. I'm not sure. It was the first thing that came up when I typed in. his name.
Yeah,
So,
I
but yeah,
think,
it might be on Amazon, all the other places you get books. Just check it out.
yeah.
Um, okay, if there's no more questions coming in, I don't know if you wanted to wrap things up by letting us know a little bit more about the company or anything else you wanted to say.
No, I'll just thank you all for coming today. I love doing things like this. I definitely have a teacher gene. I've never been a teacher, but I love talking about these things. I have tried to make our website very, very informative, not just about what we do, but about the industry in general. Again, you're all here because we sort of want to learn and elevate and publish great books. And if Luminare Press or Lucent Book Group can be of any assistance in that, please let us know. We're happy to have you here. I love the women in publishing community. Amy, thank you for being such a great host. I really, really enjoyed meeting you
You.
and having this time.
Thank you so
So
much for being a great guest.
yeah,
And
it has been really fun.
I hope
Yeah.
to speak to you again.
Okay. Thank you so much. Take care, everybody.
Bye. Have a good day.